now. So we are recording this session for those who could not join us for the live session. This is transfer transition, how to prepare for Golden Bear advising in LNS. So without further ado, we want to spend some time introducing ourselves. And Tori, if you could flip to the next slide. We have here our Transfer Student Center team, and I will pass it over to Cassandra.
Hi, everybody. Welcome today. My name is Cassandra Lopez. I'm an academic counselor. I use the She series, and I'll just be briefly going through this slide and introducing our Transfer Student Center staff. So we do have Andrew, an academic counselor at the TSC, Lucy Molina as well, academic counselor at the TSC, Jasmine Camariotis, also an academic counselor at the TSC. And then down below, you can see Lorena Valdez. She is our director for the transfer programs, and Steve Nguyen, program director for the TSC.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew. I'm one of the counselors for the Transfer Center. As Cassandra just noted, we wanted to briefly share with you a few different of our services. So currently we have a virtual community space, which you can find at that website, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 2. And there you can go and ask questions, and we have a student staff person there to answer some of your questions, direct you to the right place on campus if they don't directly have your answers. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. The other thing you can do is we have a virtual academic counseling appointment with myself and the other counselors that you saw on screen. Those hours are 10 a.m. to 4, and you're able to book those appointments through the website you see on the screen, and then you'll get a confirmation email with a Zoom link. In those meetings, we talk about everything from A to Z, what it's like being a transfer student at Cal, support you during your transition, academic planning, and general questions of what it's like being a student at Cal.
We also wanted to share with you all this great summer opportunity. So this is the Transfer Transition Program, or TTP for short. It allows you to really get a jump start on your time at Cal, which allows you to actually sign up for 2 courses over the summer. It starts, it's a 6-week summer program, which starts in summer session D. So that's July 6th through August 13th. So again, you're able to take 2 courses or 6 units, one of which the courses are a transition course that you can take, which really focuses on that transition aspect of moving into Cal. And then you're also able to choose a 4-unit class that counts towards your undergraduate degree. So in addition to the classes that you can take, which by the way, by enrolling in 6 units, you are eligible to receive financial aid. But in addition to those classes, you can also just take in and learn a lot of valuable campus resources. So you're able to learn a little bit more about different campus programs to get involved in, different resources that Cal offers, and within the Transfer Student Center, you'll also be able to work directly with an academic counselor. If you're interested in this, the application deadline is Tuesday, June 15th. And if you wanted more specific information, you can definitely go to the website ttp.berkeley.edu. And can move on to the next slide, please. And the point person for this is Luisa. She is the CE3 Curriculum Coordinator. If you wanted to email her directly with any very specific questions, you can feel free to jot down her email below. Again, if you're interested in the program and you wanted to apply, the deadline is June 15th, and you can feel free to go to the ttp.berkeley.edu website.
Great. We also want to share with you all a wonderful opportunity for you to live on a transfer floor in Max Martinez, and that's the Transfer Living Learning Community. The application is due June 18th. They are doubles in Max Martinez, which is one of the newer residence halls on campus. The website is there down below, transfers.berkeley.edu/TLLC. You need to submit an official housing application for fall 2021, as well as the Google form, which is on our website. So you definitely want to check out the Transfer and Living Learning Community. Lastly is our social media accounts. We ask you to follow us on social media. This is where we filter a lot of our information is through social media. So if you want to follow us either on Instagram, Facebook, some of you are already following us, which is really great. So I forgot to mention that we will be answering questions in the Q&A. So if you have questions, please ask them in the Q&A, and one of our staff members will be happy to answer those questions for you. Without further ado, we will pass the microphone over to our colleagues at the College of Letters and Science.
All right, my name is Tori Bookstein, and I'm an advisor in the College of Letters and Science, and that's a really old picture of me there in the middle of that slide. And we are the Letters and Science transfer team. So for the 80% or so of you who are in the College of LNS, we are so thrilled to be advisors who are assigned to really help make your experience in LNS pretty awesome. So I'm just going to say my name and let my colleagues say theirs. I'm Tori.
I'm Emilio. Yeah, I'm right here. There we go.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ulisa Serrano. It's great to have you all here.
All right. Whose slide is this?
All right. Yeah, again, congratulations. This is like a huge achievement for you. And so we're so glad that all of you joined us today. And so I kind of just wanted to give you some important links. So these are some links that I feel are just extremely valuable for incoming transfers as they're attempting to kind of like learn how to navigate some of the material here at UC Berkeley. So the first and foremost, we have our lnsadvising.berkeley.edu. This is a direct link to just LNS information regarding LNS requirements. There's opportunities there for under the new student guide to kind of give you pointers and tips on how to maybe go about managing or developing a schedule for the upcoming semester, how to make an appointment to speak with an LNS advisor, and or just get more information regarding maybe the various neighborhoods within your where your major is housed. And also just discuss, a number of deadlines and or policies that come up throughout the course of a semester. So if you have not taken time to go to our LNS advising webpage, we do encourage you to do so, just so you can get a lay of the land and see what's kind of asked of you as LNS students. The other one is the guide.berkeley.edu. So the Berkeley Guide is kind of it's a great launching off points when it comes to identifying potential classes, give you some major information. Maybe you have a couple of prerequisites left, and or you want to have some immediate contact information regarding the departments. It kind of just funnels you all over to that department, and it really helps you kind of get an understanding as to what LNS offers when it comes to your majors, and or just general insights regarding your potential major as well. And lastly, we are working with the Transfer Center right now. And so if you have not had an opportunity just to go through their website, the transfer.berkeley.edu, this is a great place to kind of build some community with fellow transfers, and also get some, more information regarding various resources available to you on campus. So there's probably a ton of other resources, a ton of other links that are available to you, but these three I would just highly recommend. You just take the time, review them, and it really will help you as you enter into Cal. So yeah.
All right. So the next thing we want to tell you about just a little bit is advising for you for this summer, and specifically telling you what are going to be some good class choices for you and helping you plan your enrollment for fall. So Golden Bear Advising is what we call our summer advising program, our summer program that supports you in choosing your classes, GBA. It's going to start on June 15th. So on or around June 15th, you will get contacted by your undergraduate major through a person called the undergraduate major advisor. And you'll probably get contacted both through your admissions portal and also a direct email to your Berkeley email. And you'll get connected to something called B courses. And in B courses, you will have something called modules. They're basically lessons. And it's going to be just a few of these modules, a few of these lessons that teach you what you need to know about what classes will be the best for you to choose for the fall. And there's something called a final assignment where you sort of reflect back, okay, this is what I think I'm going to take, and you send it in, and then your undergraduate major will let you know, great, these are good choices, or perhaps you might want to try a slightly different balance. There will also be a bunch of what we call engagement opportunities, which are extra material that we encourage you to get connected to, mostly webinars, presentations, things like that, where you can get even more information to help you really have a great start to your time here at Cal. So again, you should be receiving a lot of information on June 15th. This will end on June 29th. If on like June 16th, 17th, you're like, wait, I didn't see anything, I'm a little uncertain about where to start, we want you to start by contacting your undergraduate major advisor. All of you have at least one undergraduate major advisor for the major that you prepared for. And just to let you know, if you already know that you want to change your major, change the major that you planned to do and prepared for here at Cal, you can contact both undergraduate major advisors and start asking those questions. You'll hear in a later webinar this summer called the 4 Steps to Success that transfer students in LNS can change their majors. And so you can start those discussions now if you want, but you do want to be talking to an undergraduate major advisor if you haven't received anything by June 16th or so.
So just so you all know, this is really just one of many webinars that are actually going to be happening this summer. And as we try to kick off with this series of webinars that, of course, the Transfer Center will be hosting, we'll also have our own separate webinars as for the College of Letters and Science that we'd really strongly encourage you to check out. For those of you that have questions about LNS degree requirements and you want to get a sense of what that looks like as you come in, we'll be hosting that on Monday, June 14th, 2021 from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. And just as a reminder, it is Pacific time, especially for those of you that might be out of state or perhaps international students. On July 14th, we'll be having the 4 Steps to Success in LNS. And that's actually going to be hosted by our colleague, Tori, who is usually the big go-getter when it comes to trying to help students succeed, especially as transfers. And then we'll also have a transition to college webinar on Friday, July 16th from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. So be on the lookout for these webinars as we get through the summer. We'll also be planning a transfer workshop for Golden Bear orientation. We don't have that information up here yet since we're actually still working on designing that session, but be on the lookout for that as well. But yeah, feel free to check these out, and you can find more information on our website, lsadvising.berkeley.edu, which is the link that my colleague Emilio shared earlier.
All right, so transfer specific opportunities. And so, we are very excited that we're even here today talking to all of you because this is kind of new. But these are some of the things that that you as incoming transfers can really maximize and utilize during the early stages of GBA, GBO. So for transfer advising, if you have any questions, first and foremost, because you are coming in as transfers, what you're really going to want to do is reach out to the major departments and try and speak to your major advisors. You are just in a position as transfer students where you really want to kind of speak to them when it comes to upper division, major requirements, and discussing what is needed in order for you to declare. Some majors, they want you to declare in the first semester as a transfer. Other majors, they give you a little bit more leeway and you could potentially do it in your second term. So ultimately, when it comes to transfer advising at this point, if you have not done so, feel free to start sending out some emails to your major departments and saying hello to the major advisors. And if they don't get to you right away, just send another email, continue poking the bear until you get a response, just because they are really people you should speak to when it comes to just crafting a kind of a 2-year plan when it comes to your major and declaring. In addition to that, if you have any questions and you're just kind of curious, you're getting to know everyone here at the Transfer Center today, and you kind of want to know more about what they offer as a staff and as a program, you can always check in with the Transfer Center. Later, I believe sometime in July, don't know the exact date, you will be able to make appointments with the LNS advising, and we'll be able to maybe go over different LNS requirements and things like that. deadlines, policies and procedures, et cetera, and potentially just talk about, other opportunities as well that you can take advantage of while you're at Berkeley. So one thing that we do have, it's brand new. We have this transfer online office hours. And so we recognize there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions coming in right now, and we're doing our best to get to them, right? But this is another access point for all of you transfers. So every Wednesday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. From June 16th to July 14th, we're gonna have like a panel like this. You can jump in, ask a quick question. They're not going to be in depth, right? We're not going to go individual when it comes to like what you want to do long term. But if you have like a general question, we will be able to answer them to the best of our abilities and or point you in the correct direction. So we really hope you take advantage of this. We really carved out this space for all of you. So if you're not getting in contact with people and you're kind of feeling a little bit worried, this is the landing space for you, and we really hope that you maximize it as best as you can. And again, just as Ulysses had mentioned, during the Golden Bear orientation, there will be another transfer specific workshop where we can kind of have like open conversation and give you a little bit more insights regarding various requirements and just discuss that whole transition into Berkeley now that it's really on the precipice at that point, right? You're about to enter Cal. And so we really kind of want to shake out some of those nerves, answer whatever remaining questions you might have, and really get you feeling comfortable. And again, give you a space where you know what you're seeing, make the big campus small, and ultimately we can answer some of your questions along the way. So I do encourage you to take advantage of these resources. They're brand new. You're the first ones to ever use them. So have fun with that. And then we'll go into one more resources in the future slide.
Sorry, that was really hard for me to unmute my audio. So the first thing we want to let you know is whenever you have a question about what to take, your first stop really should always be this summer, your undergraduate major advisor. And again, if by June 16th you haven't heard from them and you don't feel like you know what's going on, they are your first outreach. Even, like we said, if you're thinking of changing your major, you can contact both the one that you came in under and also the new one you're considering. After that, if you're still not getting your questions answered, really your next stop is these virtual academic counseling appointments through the Transfer Center. And we've given you this handy little QR code, as well as a tiny URL website. Both of those go to the same place. They actually go to a sort of a quick questionnaire that you can fill out so that the academic counselors in the Transfer Center know where's the best place to send you. So this is a really great place for you to be like, hey, I have a question about my housing, or hey, I have a question about this requirement. If you're not sure where to go to get a question answered, the topic is probably on this sheet. And there's also just a place that says other if your topic isn't on the sheet. And then the Transfer Center through these virtual academic counseling appointments can get you connected to where you need to go.
So for this slide, just really want to reiterate what my colleague Emilio previously mentioned about our virtual LNS office hours. As he mentioned, this is a brand new space that we're trying to create to provide support to new transfers. And this is really going to be a space for you to come in to get guidance on where you need to go in the case that perhaps say we might not be able to answer your questions very clearly, because the reality is that Berkeley is a big campus. Advising happens in a lot of different places. And really the college is one stop, right? And the Transfer Center is another stop. There's a lot of other advising locations that you might end up having to go to. And this is really going to be a place for you to figure out whether or not the questions really are pertinent to what we're able to offer to you or not, right? Because oftentimes, for example, we get questions that might actually be better directed to the major departments, because often we get questions about declaration of the major and specific course sequences. We can give you a general sense of those kinds of things, but we can't really give you the specifics in the way that a major advisor would. So what is this space? If you need some place to go to talk to someone about where you are and just get a little guidance on where you need to go to be able to answer whatever questions you might have, we'll be there for you to do that. It's definitely not a space for one-on-ones. I definitely want to make that clear because we will not be able to get too into the specifics with students just because we do want to open this up as a group space. So we will not really have a lot of time for individual one-on-ones. For those of you that might be curious, because I did see some questions in the chat, for LNS advising, we'll be opening up appointments in mid-July, right? So if you want to meet with a college advisor and you want to set up an actual one-on-one, we will start seeing students in mid-July, sometime around July 16th, give or take. So if you want to do that, you can definitely do that via the college, but that'll be coming until later in the summer. But yeah, we would really encourage you all to check this out, check out the QR code, and we look forward to seeing you there.
All right, so this very, very boring black and white slide is one of my favorite topics. I'm just going to spend a few minutes answering some of the questions that we get every time we give these presentations. And I'm going to really try to be super clear. But a lot of these things, it takes a few times someone telling you for you to be like, oh, now I get it. So don't worry if the first time you're like, wait, what? These are good questions for the LNS office hours. These are good questions for you to put in the chat if it's still not clear. So, but just to go through these, first of all, probably a bunch of you are wondering what is the difference between a major advisor versus a letters and science advisor. Basically the major advisor's job is to connect you with the major. So they know your requirements to graduate in the major. They know the names and the styles of the professors. They know which professors are doing which research projects. They know how to connect you with enrichments in the major, like research, like honors. They can help you figure out kind of what is the best path, what are the best classes to take. And they can just be a good person to lean on when you have questions about a class or questions about the major. They are really terrific people, fairly overworked people, as a lot of people on this campus are. So, feel free to reach out. And if you don't hear from them, you can reach out again and get that connection to the major, but they're really terrific. Letters and science, our job is kind of the rest of your academics. So you come into this college with both major requirements and college requirements. And we check your college requirements. And those requirements you can actually see at the second bullet. They're always posted on our website and the address is there. But even if you don't take a picture of this address, if you just Google letters and science Berkeley graduation requirements, you'll get to this site. But we have fewer requirements than your major. We just have sort of some general things, but they're very important for you to know. And you can go through them on this website at any time, and you can ask us questions about them in office hours. But that's one of our main jobs, is helping to make sure that you've completed your college requirements. But we also do so much more. And I kind of think the so much more is the fun part. We can connect you to enrichment like UC Berkeley in Washington, D.C. We can connect you to study abroad, and transfer students absolutely can study abroad, sometimes even more than once. We can connect you to honors programs like the Haas Scholars Program or the Judith Stronach Prize. We also are just a listening ear. If your first semester is stressful, which, spoiler, it sometimes is, you can come and talk to us. If you have a question, starting on July 16th when we're available for appointments, if you don't know who to talk to, you can start with us. And if we don't know the answer, we can refer you out to the person who does know the answer on campus. We can talk to students about, reducing your anxiety about being a Cal student, about how to handle maybe if you don't get the grades you want, or how to figure out what grad school to go to. These are all discussions that we can begin, and then we can refer you out to people who specialize in them. So those are kind of the main differences between the major advisor and the LNS advisor. They focus on the major, although they can also talk to you about grad school and all sorts of other stuff. And we focus on college requirements, but both of us work to help you have the most amazing time you can have at Cal. Moving down to bullet number 3, most of you have completed something called IGETC at a California community college. The nice thing about completing IGETC is it makes it really easy for us to know what requirements you've already fulfilled. And again, you'll see this indicated on that website that's at the second bullet. But essentially, IGETC covers our essential skills, which is reading and composition, quantitative reasoning, and foreign language. And it fulfills our 7-course breadth. So we have a fabulous program of 7 courses that students have to take to broaden their education, and you've already done that. So if you've completed IGETC, you'll see those already marked as completed in your record once your record is updated. Now, when will your record be updated? That's the next bullet point, because it's a really important question. Our college tries to have everything updated by a couple of months into your first semester. So for a fall admit, that's by October. We don't always hit it. We are a large school, and we, we are always just pushing as hard as we can to get through those as fast as we can. We are hoping that all of you will be updated by October, November, because that's when you're choosing classes for next semester. But if they're not, if it takes a little longer, and sometimes it does, you're always welcome to meet with an advisor, and we can sort of look through your record and make our best guess. It's not usually a problem if this stuff isn't completely processed by then, because most of it is, it's sort of pretty obvious where it fits. But you will already know, if you have IGETC, you'll already know you've got your essential skills done and you've got your 7-course breadth done. And so the majority of your remaining work is really going to be those major requirements. And then there are unit requirements for the college. And the nice thing about our unit requirements is you can fill them taking almost any class. So how do I find out which requirements I've completed? Again, if you've done IGETC, you know what that covers. And then in terms of major requirements, the undergraduate major advisor is the one who's going to tell you what you've completed in your major and what would be a wise enrollment choice for your fall. In general, for your first semester at Cal, we recommend, if you're coming in and you're not working a whole lot of hours, if you're not taking care of a parent or a child, if you don't have a disability or chronic illness, we recommend about 13 units. For anyone who's dealing with any of those extra things, parents, people taking care of aging parents, or taking care of your own children, or disability, or working more than 15 hours a week, we actually recommend fewer than 13 units. And you can talk to us in office hours about what we'd recommend. But for those 13 units, your major advisor will be telling you probably about 8. So probably about 2 classes towards your major. And then 1 class just kind of for fun, to get to know Cal. Sometimes your American cultures can be a really good choice. And then there's usually a transition class offered through the Transfer Center, or through the Reentry Center if you're reentry, through the Veterans Center, through the Student Parent Center if you're a parent, and those can add you up to about 13 units. So your major advisor will really be giving you the meat of answering what requirements you've completed. And that is really the most influential person to tell you what to take in the fall. Now, a lot of you may be wondering, I took 100 units, or I took 150 units at my community college, but Cal is only accepting 70 of them. Which ones came over? And the nice thing is, we give you only 70 units, but we actually give you credit for all of the knowledge you've gotten. And that's because at this school, unit credit is different from subject credit. Unit credit means we just give you 70 units for all that work to make sure that you have at least 50 units worth of time to enjoy being a Cal student, because you only get to do this once. We want you to have enough time. But subject credit, we're not going to say, oh, you took math, but we're not going to take that subject credit because that's too many units. We give you credit for all of the knowledge you've gotten. That's subject credit. We just limit the number of units towards 120. So I know that this is already a whole lot of talking, so I wanted to just let you know how to get answers when you have more questions, or if you need clarification on this. It says here to start with the Transfer Center staff, but that should be your second step. Really, the first place is your undergraduate major advisor for any questions about what to enroll in towards your major, for any questions about what requirements you finished towards your major, for any questions about changing your major, all of that, undergraduate major advisors. If you aren't getting, your questions are more about general things, then the Transfer Center staff is sort of your next step, and you would reach out to them through that questionnaire that we had a tiny URL for that 2 slides back, for those virtual academic counseling appointments in the Transfer Center. And then finally, you're probably wondering when you're going to enroll for classes, and transfer students get to start enrolling on July 13th. And you will be told through your academic portal when is your time window for that, and how you are going to be able to log into that system. If you have questions about enrollment and logging in, again, start with your UMA. And then if you're not getting answers there, the Transfer Center staff virtual academic appointments would be the next place. Whew, that was a very long slide. I hope it was helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Tori, for covering all that. And I see the chats are blowing up, and so we'll be able to kind of get to those a little bit more as we continue. But just so all you know, we do have some social media regarding LNS advising, and these are our handles that you can find us at Facebook, Instagram, as well as our YouTube channel. And I know our Instagram account is very valuable to students. They give out, posts regarding deadlines, class opportunities, etc. And then this upcoming summer, all of our webinars for the College of Letters and Science, they will eventually be posted on the UC Berkeley YouTube channel. So a lot of the webinars, we kind of covered a few for all of you, but then there are kind of major specific webinars that will be available, general schedule planning webinars. And so if you're unable to attend those, they will be available to you on YouTube. So definitely follow us and all that fun stuff, just because we do post some valuable information just over the course of semesters, especially during the summers.
All right, everybody. So this is now the time for question and answer, right? We do see that a lot of questions have already been asked in the question and answer section of Zoom. So this is actually going to be an opportunity for folks in the call to see really what themes are coming up for folks, because oftentimes we do get a lot of questions that tend to be somewhat similar or slightly different and whatnot. But we definitely want to try to address as much as we can, while also recognizing that we won't be able to answer every question that you all might pose, because there's just way too much to try to answer on this campus. So what we'll do is essentially look through your questions, and I'm opening up the space essentially to the staff in case you all want to address a particular question that you saw pop up maybe a couple times, or any particular points of information you want to get across to students. So whoever wants to kick us off with that, feel free to do so.
Ulises, I'm going to start. There's a lot of questions about how transfer students find out which of the courses have, when do they find out about the courses, the requirements they have completed. And there's more questions coming in about that. Can you speak to when they find out about when the courses will be evaluated?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Thank you, Lorena. So Tori talked a little bit about this, right? And I do want to acknowledge that there's just a lot of ambiguity in this process, because we also often are not really told exact dates as to when to expect some of these things to be concluded. But generally pre-COVID, by mid-October is when everybody that is brand new to Berkeley would have all their documentation processed, meaning we would have a sense of what kind of transfer credit you're bringing. If you have AP scores or IB exam scores, we would see all that, right? But since COVID hit, that actually has delayed this process a bit. So the general timeline we're usually given is that at any point really within the fall semester, you might have your documents updated. So you're going to want to make sure you're checking Cal Central regularly to see if your documents have been processed, because right now we're also limited in terms of what we're able to guide you on, because we need to have some of those key details in place to assess what you need at Berkeley and what requirements, right, you have pending for the college or perhaps even for the major. So I would say that essentially please be patient because it does take a while for this stuff to get cleared up. The timeline is end of fall semester, really, right? We don't have specific dates. But in the meantime, we'll do our best to try to help orient you, despite the fact that we might not have a lot of this critical information. So I don't know if anyone else wanted to chime in real quick about that.
I guess I'd just like to add that I do work every fall with transfer students who don't have the information yet. And we always figure out what to enroll you in for spring. Like, it's not like it's going to stop your progress, because it's just not that you know, it's not that sort of out there. It's pretty clear, oh, you took this, it'll probably be this. So, you know, most of you will have your information by October, maybe all of you, we'd love that. But if not, you know, come and talk to us and we will help you make sure that you've got the answers that you need.
Steve, can you speak to how people access this webinar recording?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the webinars will be posted on the Transfer Student Center site, so transfers.berkeley.edu. You will see it under resources. I will try to get it up sometime by the end of this week on our website.
So I'm seeing a lot of questions regarding the iGetsy. Okay, so I guess first and foremost, you know, we're just talking to the iGetsy just because typically a lot of transfer students, when they enter UC Berkeley, have completed it, right? So if you have not completed the iGetsy, then don't worry, don't panic or anything like that. It's not going to prohibit you from being able to do everything you want to do at Berkeley. All that means is the iGetsy typically completes the majority of the college requirements, right? So the 7 course breadth requirements, that iGetsy covers that. The essential skills requirements, that iGetsy covers that, okay? And then what's left over after that is typically the university course requirements, okay? So I believe the iGetsy also covers the entry-level writing components to that, okay? So that leaves 3 potential requirements that students may still need to complete, right? Which is the American Histories, American Institutions, and American Cultures requirements. Now, if you've graduated from I believe a California high school, that senior year of high school covers your American history and American institutions requirements. So you don't necessarily need to worry about that or take any other kind of classes to complete that. If you are entering as an international student, then what will happen is that once you accumulate, I believe 90.5 units, those requirements will be viewed as exempt, and you do not need to worry about those requirements. And they will also be, you know, viewed as complete in a sense, right? So typically what's left over is the American Cultures requirements. So this is the one class that most transfer students would need to complete in their initial semester, just because if you're iGetsy certified, like I said, all those requirements are done. You know, high school transcript completes, you know, the other ones. So the American culture, that's kind of one that if you're worried about, like, how do I plan for my upcoming semester, things like that, just hone in on like, okay, I know I need to take care of this requirement. So maybe I should look into those directions and complete that in the first semester, just because there's so many options, right? That you can identify a class that is just interesting to you. And that's all what that first semester is all about. It's all about developing intrinsic motivation in the classes I pick, right? I got to be motivated in the material that I'm going to be doing to help me kind of transition to Berkeley. It's kind of helpful when it comes to that. So American Cultures really provides that opportunity for you, because, you know, you have to complete it and there's a lot of options. And then just speaking to those who aren't iGetsy certified, again, you know, you don't necessarily need to worry about it too much. All this means is typically that, you know, you might have 1 breath, 2 breaths kind of remaining. And so what you can do is maybe sometime later in the summer and or in the beginning of the fall term is check in with LNS, and we can kind of check in and see if we know if there's any kind of classes that are outstanding, and just kind of give you a heads up for anyone, right? When it comes to LNS requirements, an LNS advisor can really do that for all of you. And I did see a couple questions regarding transfer work. You know, there is you know, like Tori had mentioned, a 70 unit max when it comes to lower division transfer work, right? But I also saw that there might be some others coming from maybe other 4-year institutions or UC systems. And so depending on your units, if you have some upper division coursework, that 70 unit mark might be a little bit more with the transfer units, but ultimately around 70 units is where you stand with transfer work. And I don't know if there's anything else you would like to add to that, Tori or Lisa's, but I was just noticing the iGetsy kind of questions, so I just wanted to address that.
Yeah, thanks for catching those. I just want to add that most international students, the American history and American institutions is exempt, but it's only international students on certain kinds of visas. And I used to have it memorized, but just in case it's changed, I'm not going to name the visas that it used to be. But you can always check with the Berkeley International Office, because just because you have been called an international student, it doesn't necessarily mean that your visa qualifies for that exemption. But most of you will probably be exempt from American history and American institutions. So and every student coming in has to have completed American cultures, and very few of you would have been able to do it at the community college. So we usually see transfer students doing it here. And just to be clear, we really want you to take one you like. We really encourage you to look around. There are so many of them. So I really encourage you not to be like, oh, I have to take in American cultures. That one fits my schedule, okay? You only get to be a Berkeley student once. We really want you to love every class. And there are so many American cultures opportunities. We hope you'll be able to find them that you're like, oh, I didn't know I could discuss this topic and fulfill this requirement. So we really encourage you to dig and find the one that's meaningful to you.
I did want to address real quick, how does one get a hold of a major advisor, right? Or where can you find that contact information? I know that's been something that's been asked a number of times. So there's a link that was shared earlier. You may or may not remember it, but it's guide.berkeley.edu, guide.berkeley.edu. And the guide's actually going to be a very important tool for you all because one, it actually allows you to check out the class schedule, which is going to be where you're going to go look around for classes when it comes to enrollment time. And the other thing too is that it actually will allow you to also search up major departments. And if you go on to the undergraduate section, there is a drop-down bar that will pop up that says degree programs, majors and minors. If you go to that particular section, you're going to have a breakdown in alphabetical order of every major that Berkeley offers. You can filter for minors as well, if any of you are interested in minors possibly. And if you click on a major there, there's going to be a lot of different items on the right side of the page. Let's say you click on applied math because it's one of the first majors that will pop up. If you click on apply math, you should have a breakdown of different sections that might include things about the major. It might include things around classes or prerequisites. Prerequisites meaning courses that you're going to need to be able to declare the major. But there's also a tab usually that also includes contact information. If you click on that tab in particular, it's going to bring up a lot of different points of contact for that department in particular. And if you see the title, things like, or if you see a title like undergraduate major advisor or student services advisor, because sometimes major advisors have different titles, that'll be the person you want to talk to start initiating a conversation pertaining to your major planning. And of course, during GBA, major departments should be reaching out to you all, but I know some students are actually already even contemplating possibly switching out. So if you switch out from the major you first applied to and you want to move into a new major, you want to make sure, especially in your case, that you talk to the major department as soon as possible, because the move from one major to another might require a little more logistical planning, since you might need to complete some prerequisite courses to be able to declare. So again, guide.berkeley.edu. There's an undergraduate bar. You click on it. There should be a drop-down that says degree programs, majors and minors. And on that section, you should be able to locate the majors that are offered on campus. And then if you click on one, you'll have information on how to contact the major advisor. So I hope that helps. I know that was a little long-winded. Any other things coming up for folks on the staff side?
I'm also seeing there were a bunch of questions regarding like, how to declare a major, how to declare a minor, should I pursue a double major and things like that. And so typically, for the students, just be aware when it comes to declaring a major and or a minor, you want to go directly to that major department, speak with them, and they will make a determination whether they're able to declare the major. Certain majors, you definitely just want to do it sooner rather than later. If so, any econ majors out there, you're going to need to declare your major in your first semester. All right, so you're definitely going to want to check in with them regarding the application and what do you need to do there. But the majority of the majors, you just check in with them and they'll most likely declare you after they review your necessary prerequisites. When it comes to double major, I'm all about it. Double major, you want to do it, go for it. Triple, quadruple, have fun with it. It's an opportunity to learn and grow as a person in so many different ways at UC Berkeley, right? So the only thing that all of you need to be aware when it comes to double majoring and beyond is that you got to do it for the right reasons, right? We're not doing it just because, oh, I think this is going to give me a job, or I have all these requirements already done, I might as well just lean into it, right? Because, we're willingly adding on more work, which, work is work. It's going to make you kind of tired. It's going to maybe seep into other external opportunities, internships, externships, hanging out with your friends, whatever. So you just got to be mindful of like, why am I doing this, right? And so ideally, the double major student is doing it because they just have a passion for it. Like, man, I can't live without, being up at 2 a.m. writing this paper about bones, right? Like you really want to have just like a drive to gain that knowledge just because you feel like it's necessary on your academic journey, right? So if you have that drive, you have that passion, and you really want to take on the additional work that's going to be asked of you, then great. I totally encourage you. And what you would want to do is you want to check in maybe with, LNS advising, so we can kind of go over the appropriate steps that are needed. There is an application and other kind of policies, procedures that come with double majoring. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if this is something you want to pursue, I'm your hype man. I really want you to do this. I'm going to encourage you to do it. But like kind of Tori always tells students, we have to make that decision early on in our academic career, right? So we have a summer to really reflect and determine like, hey, okay, I want to do this major and I want to do this other one as well. Do I have it in me to lean into this, enjoyable endeavor? So just be mindful of it. It's definitely a possibility. But if you have questions and concerns, check in with whomever are the major advisors, the LNS advisor, peers, friends, and get a lay of the land and in that initial semester so we can plan accordingly moving forward. And so if anyone else wants to speak to the major, a double major and or minor, feel free to do so. But yeah. Yeah.
So everything Amelia said is really spot on. And I want to give you some more resources and some more knowledge because I actually double majored when I was here at UC Berkeley back in the 12th century. And I did, well, basically what Amelia was talking about, I did it for kind of all the wrong reasons. I did it because I thought it would help me get a job. Everyone told me it would make me more competitive in grad school and a job, and they were completely wrong. And so it's really important to sort of figure out what you get from a double major and what you don't. And we don't really have the time to go too much in depth for it here. So what I'm going to tell you is you get a lot of good information about how to weigh whether a double major is right for you in the workshop, 4 Steps to Success in LNS. This workshop that we already gave you the time and place a little earlier, but I don't have it memorized, but it's coming up sometime in the month of July. It's a workshop that we developed based on all the things that transfer students told us, I wish I'd known this in my first semester. You do not have to decide this semester if you're double majoring. You can take your first semester. You don't have to decide this summer, I mean. You can take your first semester to sort of weigh things, just get to know Cal. That's your main job this fall, is to get to know how to be a Cal student. But watching the 4 Steps to Success webinar will really help you understand how to weigh the pros and cons of a double. We also have a lot of other good information in there, like how to, get the most out of your time at Cal. Some of you may be asking, how do I stay longer than 4 semesters? And it is possible. It doesn't always happen, but it is possible. How do I fit in study abroad? Why do I already feel like I'm behind? We address all of these things in this workshop. I'm really proud of this workshop, and I very much encourage you to watch it. whether or not you're wearing a double major, whether or not you're already worried you're behind. Transfer students tell us over and over that this is a really, really useful webinar. So please, 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 I encourage you to make the time to watch it. And you don't actually have to watch it as it's being live broadcast. It already exists from last summer's presentation on the web, on our Letters in Science website, although it's not going to be 100% accurate, obviously, because last summer was a very different time in terms of COVID and Zoom, but it's close enough. So you can watch that recording, you can watch this semester's live, you also can wait until this semester's is turned into a recording, which it will be. But after that, if you're still like, I'm not sure if I want to double or not, that's a great question for Letters in Science advisors. That's a great question for you know, Cal students who are current Transfer Center peer advisors. You can get a lot of good information from all of us.
Actually, this might actually be something for the Transfer Center, because I've also been seeing a number of questions about housing and the transfer student community that you all shared. So can someone in the Transfer Center speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk a little bit about the Transfer Living Learning Community. So the application is due Friday, June 18th. So I know that's right around the corner. That's due next Friday. And you have to submit the official housing application as well as the Google form that's on our website, transfers.berkeley.edu/TLLC. You will get notifications whether you receive a housing offer in the month of July. I know there's been a lot of questions around, you know, when will I get offers and assignments. There's also questions about questions around spring admits. So spring decisions or spring admits, there's a different timeline. So you don't necessarily have to register for housing now. You want to make sure you look at CalCentral. CalCentral has all the tasks that are listed and things that you need to do. I know there was quite a few questions around how do I get a Berkeley ID or a CalNet ID, as well as a Berkeley email. You want to make sure you follow all the steps that are listed on your CalCentral in terms of things that may be popping up. Golden Bear advising, which we talked about today, will also appear on your CalCentral as well.
You know, I'll speak to another thing that was in the chat regarding like, you know, can I switch my major? And I know Tori will love to jump in on this one. The answer is yes. If you are taking a class or two and you recognize, hey, this isn't the area of interest for me, you can absolutely pivot in a different direction, right? So all of you that are coming in, just, you know, you probably selected, hey, this is the major I want to do, but you're not locked into that major yet, right? You haven't officially declared. You're coming into Berkeley with that interest, but you're not officially declared for the most part, right? And so you always have the liberty to transition to another one and pivot in a different direction, but you'll just have to be extremely mindful of doing that sooner rather than later, just like the double major. We just want to make sure we do this sooner rather than later, so we don't feel like our back is against the wall and we can't move in a direction where we want to and really maximize our time at Berkeley. So I just want to speak to that point. It's definitely a possibility, but just again, you know, we just want to do these things when we make big changes in life, right? We want to just do it once we have that idea, make the plan, and then act on it as best as we can, as soon as we can. So, Tori, if you want to add to that, go for it.
How did you know? So yeah, if there are a couple of majors that transfer students cannot switch to. So just to be clear, if you're coming in Letters in Science, you cannot switch to the Haas School of Business. But other than that, almost every major is open to you at this point. And I want to be clear, sometimes you don't figure things out as early as you would like. And so if you figure out in the middle of next year, oh, I really wish I'd majored in something else, Amelia was totally right to say, like, it might be too late to have figured that out because you might have too many units to work it out. But at the same time, I don't want you to not come in and talk to us just because you're like, oh, Amelia told me to figure it out and I didn't figure it out in time and now I feel bad. Like, you can always come and ask a Letters in Science advisor, hey, is there any chance that I could change to this major? Because the reality is that most majors are accessible to you even fairly late in the game, it just gets more and more complicated. You might have to finish it through like only attending in summers or interesting things like that. So it's not necessarily as easy. It's not necessarily as fun, but you'll never know if you don't ask. The thing about changing your major is that sometimes as a transfer student, if you decide, oh, you know, I prepared for sociology, but I'd really rather do biology, the changing process will involve taking more classes than Berkeley gives you time for. So we encourage you to go back and take those classes at the community college because we kind of don't care how many of those you take. So it's kind of a big commitment. You either continue sort of on the path you're on, or you stop your Cal time, which we let you do. You go back to another school and take some more prerequisites for your other major, and then you come back. That's kind of a big step. And so we really encourage you to weigh the major change carefully, which makes sense because you'd be making somewhat of a sacrifice of your time, right, to go prepare for a different one. And there are some really good tried and true techniques for weighing your major. And we describe them in the 4 Steps workshop. So I really encourage you to watch this workshop if you're at all thinking of changing your major, because in step number 2, we tell you how to get to know the major you prepared for to see if you like it or not. And then how to start looking at sort of planning for other majors if you decide you want to. We also have another workshop that is available online and also that will be being streamed this summer called the 7 Steps to Choose a Major. Now, spoiler, I wrote both of these majors. They're both me. So if you're tired of hearing me talk, you might be like, I want to research this some other way, and that's okay. But the 7 Steps to Choose a Major is a very detailed way for any student coming in as a freshman, coming in as a transfer, to sort of assess, what do I really want to major in here at Cal? But I want to be clear, if you really want to change your major, it is almost always possible. And it often takes more time than just completing what you've got, but it also can give you amazing rewards because again, we really want you to love what you're studying. And the 4 Steps to Success workshop will actually clarify for you why it is so important for Cal students to love what they're studying. Another group of majors that can be hard to change to are the majors that are listed as impacted or capped. Those majors pretty much need to be declared in a transfer student's first semester. They include econ, art, psychology. So if you are thinking that you might want to change to a major, you want to check as soon as possible just to see if it's an impacted major, because that does kind of change your timeline. But again, it can be really anxiety producing to worry about, oh, am I too late? Have I not figured this out yet? So whenever you start to feel anxious about it, I just want you to stop and take a breath and be like, I can do this. And then come and talk to one of us, because we can often find a path for you. Not always, but we can often find a path for you. And when you make a decision based out of sort of, oh, I'm running out of time, I have to do this right now, it can sometimes be more likely to be a bad decision because anxiety can make us rush into it. So if you remember nothing else of what I tell you today, I just want you to know you are going to do really well here. It's awesome to have you. And we really encourage you to come in and ask us questions. Whenever you're feeling anxious about a decision, come and get the information, because we can help you make the decision based on facts and data and not sort of feeling anxious about being behind or do I have enough time, which can help it be a better decision.
Want to do a quick time check. It is 5:59 p.m. So we are nearing the end of our webinar. I wanted to just see if my LNS colleagues or the Transfer Center staff had any final concluding thoughts as we wrap up for the evening.
Yeah, I know we may not have gotten to all your questions, and so there's just a lot that we're trying to cover within this hour. But again, these other webinars, these other opportunities that we discussed throughout this webinar, hopefully can help maybe answer some of these questions over the course of the summer, right? So if your questions weren't answered, just know, like, ideally reach out to us or your major advisors and we'll be able to assist you later on in the summer. Just a couple quick things that I would like to talk about is just, schedule planning and all that fun stuff. If I had to leave you with a little tidbit, again, maybe just focusing on an American Cultures course, identify maybe 2 upper division courses within your intended major, and then check out the transition course that's offered by the Transfer Center, right? That might just be a nice way to ease your way into Berkeley as you're kind of, filling out what's needed of you as a student here. And it kind of just takes the thinking out of it a little bit. So maybe that's my little tidbit to you. Take it or leave it. It's up to you, not me. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there.
I think lastly, one of the things I'll add from the Transfer Center side of the house is we will continue to provide summer offerings, summer webinars throughout the summer months. So please continue to check your emails. We'll be posting on social media, and the webinar topics might be different. We might have a student panel next time where we really talk about the transfer experience. And that's what we do at the Transfer Center. It's revolved around you all as our main focal point. So really, definitely check out our website, transfers.berkeley.edu. That's where you can find a lot of up-to-date information and services that we are providing to you all. We hope to see you all in person in the fall in some capacity, whether it's on Zoom or it is, in person at the Transfer Student Center.
Hang on, I've been asked to share the links again for our office hours, and I was trying to share the screen and it didn't do it the right way. So hang on. Let's see here. All right, are you all looking at the slideshow, I hope? Because I can't seem to get to it. Can someone else try to share it? Because I can't seem to get to it again. I don't know why. They will also be available in the recording. Thank you, Steve.
So here's the Google form to the virtual academic counseling appointments. So feel free to write down our website, tinyurl.com/summeradvising21, or take a picture of the QR code. If you're interested in the office hours, here is the link to the office hours. It's tinyurl.com/summer-office-hours-2021, alongside with the QR code. Okay. And I believe that is the end of the webinar tonight. Thank you again. Thank you all again for a wonderful show. We look forward to seeing all of you on campus in the fall.
Welcome and congratulations.